sort that out fast. Good morning and welcome to the May 25th, 2023 meeting of the Oklahoma City Airport Trust. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes of the April 27th, 2023 Oklahoma City Airport Trust meeting. Is there a motion and a second? And the item passes. Next up, we have the director's report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. A couple items just to, as far as updates for the board members. So 2 weeks ago, we hosted a conference here in Oklahoma City, an aviation conference. And it's for the American Association of Airport Executives. It was a regional conference, Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Arkansas. And we had about 250 people attend, and it went well. We also highlighted at the conference, we had speakers from Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center and from Tinker Air Force Base, kind of highlighted Oklahoma City. But that went well. This week, I wanted to highlight just what we're seeing as far as activity. So we track our passengers on a daily basis, primarily for planning purposes for how many people are going through the checkpoint on a daily basis. And over the last couple of years, whenever we would approach 7,000 passengers a day, that was a really busy day. And but every day this week, we're seeing 7,000 plus passengers go to the airport. So people are traveling. Memorial Day, of course, is what's making that happen. So it's been a busy week, but obviously we're in the middle of the busy season. So I think that's probably all I had for today.
Outstanding.
And I think the other items were as far as delinquent accounts receivable, construction, project status, and budget to actual are in your board packet. Didn't have anything to add on those things. If you had any questions, just let me know.
Okay. The next up, we have the Oklahoma City Airport Trust budget.
Thank you. And Melissa's got some slides here, and just a quick review you can go ahead, next slide, Melissa. Just a quick review, we did present this at last month's meeting, and just to highlight our budget for the next fiscal year proposed is $162 million. And that includes a variety of different revenue sources, and it is an increase from this current fiscal year, but we are expecting an increase in landing fees as the airlines continue to restore some of their frequencies and routes. We expect parking revenue of a little over 3.6 million increase just based on increased growth. Our concession revenue, we expect that's going to also continue to grow, almost $2 million. Based on the passenger numbers and the new venues that we have at the airport, and then a variety of other smaller items that we expect increases on. It includes $39 million in carryover funds from this fiscal year, and then so that brings us to 162 on the revenue side. On the expense side. Operating expenses of $56 million, which is an increase from this fiscal year. A number of those increases are due to an increase in cost for services, custodial services. All of our contractual services are going up. Inflation and workforce-related issues. We also have an increase in there for our own personnel costs. We're part of the city's increase in the wages over the last fiscal year in anticipation of some more this upcoming year. And then included with $56 million in operating and then $102 million in capital. That is a circumstance of having a lot of capital dollars available. We have increased funding available from the FAA relative to prior years, which is contributing to the increased capital budget. We also have a project that we will be beginning this next fiscal year, which is the construction of another hangar for AAR, which is also, which includes funding from both the state and from AAR. And those are some of the primary ones. And of course, we have about $30 million in capital projects with Mike Monroney. So, okay. Any questions? Go ahead, Melissa. We've got some slides that I can just highlight a little bit. As we talked about last month, part of this project, one of the projects is the replacement of boarding bridges, and so we're out to bid right now for this project. It would be 6 bridges for this fiscal year, and then in equal amounts over the next couple of years to replace the 17 bridges that we still have that are old. Go ahead. The FIS, we are in design and have been under design for a couple months, and we expect we'll finish that up towards the end of the year and then begin construction early calendar year 24. Go ahead. And a large project for us at Wiley Post Airport is the widening of our west runway, runway 17, right? And this is the breakdown of the various airports and the amounts of capital going into all of those facilities. Next slide. And the funding sources that we talked about a little bit. Go ahead. And then this is the portion of, as we talked about yesterday, Craig, what we're going to call this, Airport City Operating Budget. We call it the cash fund budget, but we want to find a better descriptor so people understand what that is, essentially. But it's the city portion of the airport trust budget, the $25 million. And also, just to highlight, we are adding 6 new net positions. That flow chart kind of goes through the various steps we're taking, adding a position in one location, deleting it in another, but we're essentially trying to address some of the workload issues that we're dealing with and trying to keep up with all of our projects. So we're adding some engineering staff, we're adding a purchasing specialist, a municipal counselor, a trust specialist, all things that we think will help us try to keep up with all of our property management and capital development. So that's, and then we continue to try to fill some of our technical positions, which is more challenging, especially for everybody in this environment, HVAC technicians and electrical folks and things like that. So, and that's the rest of my slides.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, Director Mulder, what's the status of the jet bridges that we have on order now? Do we have a delivery schedule yet?
Oh, so, well, bids are due at the end of the month for the boarding bridges. So I think we're anticipating a delivery schedule of about 12 months. Again, supply chain is a challenge, but that would be our expectation. We are, though, but we are continuing to, we recently went and replaced some of the panels and some of the jet bridges that had some damage. We're replacing the carpet in them, even though we're replacing some of them within the next 12 months, but we want to just try to keep them in as good a shape as we can.
And then any new tenants on tap for inside the airport? Or do we have everybody open now?
So we opened, so Osteria Restaurant opened in, I think it was end of March. And then we had 2 new venues open up a couple weeks ago. One is called the iStore, which is an electronics technology store. And then another one is a travel store. It's called Oklahoma News 9, but both right across from the Southwest Gate. So, but they turned out very nice. So,
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Jeff, remind me then, what's the plan on the other 17 gates that,
The boarding bridges?
boarding bridges that will be replaced?
So we would pursue funding and acquiring, so fiscal year 25 and 26. So 4, 5, 6, depending on how much we can get.
Yeah.
So I would hope over the next 3 to 4 years, we'd replace all of them. But and to do all of them at once would be very challenging, so we're breaking it up into a group at a time per year. Yep.
Okay. At this time, we'll entertain a motion and a second to approve the 2024 Oklahoma City Airport Trust budget. And the budget passes. Next up, we have Will Rogers World Airport.
Mr. Chairman, item A is approve a professional services contract with MacArthur for the Terminal Apron South Phase 1. Item B is ratification and approval of amendment for AAR Hangar 3B roof replacement to award construction contract to Downey Contracting. Item C is resolution for professional services for MacArthur to design for the multi-year professional services contract for North 1,000 feet rehabilitation of runway 17 right, 35 left. Item D is resolution ratifying the actions of the Director of Airports for approval of various contracts and agreements. Item E is service agreement with Human Animal Link of Oklahoma Foundation to operate dog therapy teams at the airport. Item F is a ground services agreement with Meridian Lot LLC. Item G is a memorandum of agreement with the TSA to utilize space at Will Rogers Airport for storage of training aids for K-19s. Item H is resolution declaring ThyssenKrupp Airport Services in default of construction contract. Item I is approved plans and project manual for terminal building, additional wayfinding and signage. Item J is approved plans and project manual for 2023 registry building slab repairs at Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center. Item K is change order number 3 with Hunter Mechanical for TRB cooling tower replacement at Mike Monroney. Item L is Amendment 1, professional service with Poe and Associates for North Campus asphalt paving and repair rehabilitation at Mike Monroney. Item M is resolution ratifying the actions of the Director for change order 3 for the Aviation Records Building at Mike Monroney with Jackson Mechanical Services. Item N is supplement 4 with Protec Fire Services to exercise the third option period. Item O is resolution authorizing professional services with Park Hill to design baggage claim unit replacement. And item P is supplement agreements 5 for airport rental car concession agreements with Avis Budget, EAN Holdings, Alamo Car Rental Enterprise, and National Car Rental and TAG. And Agreement 6 with Hertz Corporation.
Okay, you've heard the request for approval for Will Rogers. Is there any questions? Motion and a second. And the item passes. Next up, we have Wiley Post Airport.
That's a resolution for professional services with H.W. Lochner for design and project management for Atlantic Aviation Hangar 14 ramp replacement.
Okay. Heard the request for approval. Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. We have nothing for Clarence Page Airport, so we'll move to general.
Item A is Amendment 2 for professional services with Entercon for general environmental consulting services. And item B is Amendment 2 with H.W. Lochner and MacArthur Associates for multi-year professional services agreements.
Okay. Heard the request for approval. Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. Next up, we have easements.
Item A is an easement with Gen John Properties, 4616 Southwest 20th Street. Item B is easement with Peachtree Properties, 7431 Northwest 85th Street.
We heard the request for approval. Any questions? Is there a motion and a second? And the item passes. Next up, item 10, we have requisitions. It's a resolution rectifying the actions of the director of the airport in approving requisitions previously paid, and also a resolution approving requisitions dated May 25th, 2023. Is there a motion and second? And the item passes. Are there any comments from trustees? Okay. Any comments from staff?
Terry?
Yes.
I wanted to add one other thing, if I could.
Sure.
Just to recognize one of our employees over the last week. So we manage our fuel farm at the airport, and Carrie Cox manages that operation for us. And the supply of fuel from the pipeline was disrupted over the weekend. A pump situation happened, and so Carrie and her staff had to arrange to bring fuel in via tanker truck and by a number of different means. Worked with the airlines to tell them we didn't have a lot of fuel, so tanker up at another location. But it was a fairly dynamic situation, but we're back in normal operation again. But just wanted to identify her for a great job keeping the airplanes flying and keeping the fuel flowing. So.
By any means necessary. Right?
Yes.
Good job. Thank you. Are there any citizens wishing to be heard? Okay. Seeing none, we are adjourned.